It's time for the season finale for the Area Lodgebox Series in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, everybody. Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy and Connor Horn for the last race, number 17 of the season. Time to crown a champ of one of the four that have made it to the last round of the season. Connor, one of our four is not here. Power outages across the country impacting John Furness tonight. So he is not currently in the session. He's got about 15 minutes to get that sorted. But if he doesn't, it'll just be 3 for the championship, as it was for unrelated and a different scenario on Tuesday, but it was still 3 on Tuesday and 3 again tonight.
And it's unfortunate because John Furness, although he went a lot of the season without winning a race, he really caught fire at the end of the season, which put him in a scenario to be in this position to race for a championship, and it's not looking like he's going to get that opportunity, which is really a shame because he was probably the biggest threat, in my opinion, to who I think is the favorite, James Scioli, coming off leading 146 of 160 laps last week. Although not getting the win, that was Greg Mitchell breaking through, leading 10 laps to move the victory to punch his ticket to have a shot at the championship, Hunter.
Indeed, and for Fazekas, they were looking to have 2 of their drivers go at it for the championship, but with the power outage issue for Furness, it's only going to be Greg Mitchell tonight, fighting it off with Travis Beckner and James Scioli. So the championship 3, if you will, and James Scioli is the fastest driver here in Nashville, and he's got probably the best stats out of all 4 of these championship contenders, 9 top 5s on the season, 11 top 10s to go with his 6 wins. And he's led the most laps this season, nearing 560.
So there's Travis Beckner in the 27 rolling out for some late practice. 8th right now in the session, slowest of the championship 3 that are here tonight. And Travis lost the Truck Series championship on Tuesday. And Connor, he was so dejected about losing that opportunity. But could tonight be his night? We know how aggressive he is in this Xfinity Series car. That aggression has paid off for him a handful of times. But right now, the raw pace, even after 35 laps of practice, doesn't seem to quite be there. But will he race better, do you think?
I think he raced much better. I think this track is a little bit more into his style, and I think the Xfinity car, like we talked about, I think fits into his style a little bit more than a truck does. So I think he has a better shot tonight. Love the different looking paint scheme compared to what he's ran the majority of the season. Maybe a little bit of extra fire he needs to go to compete for this championship, but I do like his chances. He has the aggression level you need to win in these sorts of scenarios.
It'll be interesting to see how the car plays on the longer run. Really haven't had too many yellows. I think we've only had one this entire weekend. We went caution-free Monday night for the Cup Series and believe there was only 1 yellow for the trucks. So if the trends are going to follow, then it seems like tonight's going to be mostly green. Maybe we get a yellow or 2 in between, but going to have to think about the long haul here.
Certainly do. James Scioli has thought about the long haul several times this season. He's won 6 times. And if you look back to Monday, it was the driver that led the most or won the most races that won the championship. That was not the case on Tuesday, where Brad Slaughter Jr. snuck away with the championship and won it with 1 win on the calendar, as opposed to the 3 that the other 3 championship 4 had. But Scioli's got twice as many wins as John Furness. The other drivers that are in the title hunt have 1 apiece. Of course, there's Alan Elwood, who wasn't able to continue his run in the championship. But if you look at the calendar, Connor, it's been a pretty interesting year. Of the 17 races, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different winners, which is a lot of diversity. But Scioli has picked up almost as many as all the others combined.
Yeah, and it just shows how dominant of a year he's had, winning his races in 2s, Indy Road Course to Vegas, and then I believe 2 out of the last 3, 2 to 3. He only separated, Alan Elwood separated his wins at Charlotte and Darlington, but he has been absolutely dominant. Really, his only competition was John Furness late in the season, and for the majority of the season, Alan Elwood. If Elwood could race here, it could be a different story, but not the case. I cannot state enough, really, how much of a favorite I think Scioli is tonight, but we haven't seen the favorites win every single time. Jake Nichols obviously won on Monday, and Tuesday was obviously Brad Slaughter Jr. pulling off sort of a Daniel Hemrick-esque championship finish.
And Greg Mitchell, sorry Hunter, I was going to say Greg Mitchell snuck his way into the playoffs after some late race drama at Richmond, but he has risen to the occasion several times, so maybe that 2 car could sneak in there, Hunter.
Indeed, he snuck in. He's got 9 top 10s on the season. It's all about consistency, and that's how you got to get your way in. We saw Michael Kern do that, put himself in a position to make the championship 4 with a win at Auto Club, and he ended up getting a podium finish inside the standings for that series. And see if Greg Mitchell can do the same. Obviously going to get a podium result here. Seems like John Furness will not be in tonight, but The 2 looking pretty fast, 3rd overall. We'll have to see if that can translate into the speed for qualifying. And looking at it here in the Twitch chat, Alan Elwood said that Scioli definitely deserves this championship. So it seems like Mr. Elwood's put his thoughts on tonight's race before it's even started.
Well, drivers that deserve it don't always get it, but we'll see what Scioli can do. He's doing the best he can right now in practice and sits atop the scoring pylon. Fans watching at home, if you'd like to pull up the timing and scoring yourself, you can do that at simtvbroadcasting.com. Navigate to the timing section and follow along in real time with the timing screen at home. And just a moment, we're going to kick off qualifying as practice comes to a close. And tonight we've got a couple of partners and people that we should thank one more time before the season is out. Of course, if you're not watching on Twitch, you should be. Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat and earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise at areairacing.shop. So make sure you're following along on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, open up that other tab. Can't hurt to have both open. Practice concludes. We'll head into qualifying, Connor. Tonight, a relatively small field, 18, but track position has been hard to come by at Nashville this week, so you're going to want to start as close to the front as you can.
Yeah, it's a very one-lane track, and it's kind of weird to think about because we've seen this track get very spread out, whether it's with the Cup cars at the Gen 6 or Xfinity cars or the next-gen cars. This track in real life can widen out, but it's a little bit difficult to get the track to widen out because of how much that upper lane wears the tires. If you're not on the very bottom where the concrete meets the pavement, you're probably going to wear that right front out and you're going to have a little bit of a rough time. So I think we're going to see things single file out pretty early if you want to survive for a long run, which I think we're going to be prone to seeing. I don't see it being a caution fest. We haven't seen many of those here.
No, we've only had one throughout the weekend or throughout the week of racing, and looking back at a season ago, only had 3 yellows for 12 laps in that one. That race won by none other than Cameron Hearn, but got 9 minutes left in qualifying, and that is Rob Ackley going out to complete his opening qualifying lap. We'll see what the rest of the drivers can put up here.
Very dramatic skies here as well as we work our way into the evening here in Lebanon, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And this track, again, named Super Speedway to differentiate it from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, just a couple miles away. Here's Rob Ackley out of turn 4. This is lap number 1. And a 30.718 will be the first driver to put a time on the timing and scoring. No other playoff competitors are out on track yet. Chris Rabel almost made it to the championship 4. It was the closing laps at Richmond that pulled him out after being in it for so much of the race. I know he's disappointed he's not in it, but Connor, he's got a teammate in the fight, and he's going to try to help him out.
Yeah, he's going to do everything he can to help his teammate out, but he's also going to try to close the season strong as well. He's had a solid season with 9 top 10s, so there's nothing to really be ashamed of. Just didn't have enough of the pace to hang with the very fast drivers as Ackley is on, huge hit there, Rabel into a wall. That's going to end his run. He's going to get it stopped. He'll have one more chance to get another lap in. It's Rob Ackley's provisional pole. But he definitely wants to try to redeem himself here on a track. I think he can sort of get a little bit of advantage on some of these guys. As we look at Cameron Hearn, another driver who's looking for a little bit of redemption to end the season. So fast all year, just has not had really anything go his way.
Hard to think that he hasn't had a win in any of the area series at all this season.
I know.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
That's the Hemrick comparison. How does this guy not have wins? He's up there competing all the time, but maybe tonight is the night where he shakes off all the rust, goes out there and steals it, at least the win from a playoff competitor. Both races this week were won by the champions. And Hearn at 36.85 takes him to provisional pole.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising to look at his Xfinity car stats. Only 7 top 10s, 5 top 5s. He could have easily had wins at Iowa and IRP, but late race yellows and late race restarts really hurt him there. And he just hasn't been able to finish races. It's been the most important part. If he does not finish up at the front, he likely doesn't finish at all. It's what we saw 2 weeks ago at Auto Club where he was caught up in a wreck on lap 3. It's just not been the season he wanted in Lodgebox, really in area at all. Nothing has gone his way, but he can close it out with a win here and get some momentum for the next season.
Indeed, and over in the Twitch chat, the poll question has opened up with who will win tonight's Area Lodgebox Series Championship. You can bet with exclamation point bet, and then the options of Mitchell, Beckner, and Scioli. Wager as little as 100 channel points up to 100,000 channel points, and as mentioned, Alan Elwood's put all of his points in on James Scioli, all
Wow.
19,000. That is a lot of points, folks.
Well, Scioli's on track, as is Travis Beckner, so we're about to have 3 of our championship 4 lay down some times. Again, if you just joined us, the 28 of John Furness has a power outage local to him, and he will be unable to qualify for tonight if he can't get in the next couple of minutes, and that means he wouldn't be able to race either. Scioli across the line to kick off his qualifying effort, and Beckner doing the same.
Yeah, basically going out at the same time. Beckner might be a second ahead on track, but we'll see what the times are as they both go down the backstretch. Beckner going to get into turn 3 first, both wrapping the very bottom. I like when I say the bottom. It is a yellow line. I was going to say there's no color down there, but there is color down there. As Beckner's putting all his chips on lap 2, getting the outside line through 3 and 4 down, so he can cut it down here and get as great of a run down the front straightaway as he can. Scioli, wouldn't be surprised if he did the same thing, a 31.3 for Scioli.
We're around a similar lap time that Cameron Hearn put down, and then he put down the 30.6, which is off from his own track record of a 30.38 that he set a season ago. Beckner looking to go faster here on lap 2.
Out of turn 4 for the number 27. Needs to beat a 36.05 to go to provisional pole, where Weishart is. 30.633 puts him second, and third place goes James Scioli. So Beckner will qualify the best of the playoff competitors so far. Greg Mitchell has not yet taken to the racetrack.
And that's pretty big, especially with how much pace Scioli had over Beckner in practice, over a 10th difference. That's big for Beckner to get track position early on, albeit he will be on the outside front row. Scioli will likely have the advantage on the initial start, starting third, as we wait to see if Greg Mitchell does get on track. About just over half the field's gone out. And I'm trying to see who else is on track. Tom Bourne is putting his second lap down. Ooh, he is sliding. He's not going to get that lap very fast, but he does at least save it. A few of the throwbacks, I just realized, a few of the throwbacks from Darlington made their way back in. Tom Bourne's in his Greg Biffle throwback, and Michael Leip in that 26 that always looks so sharp. He's got that back on track as Tom Bourne went provisional 11th.
And here's the last of the championship eligible drivers putting down a qualifying lap. That's Greg Mitchell in the 2 for Fazika's Motorsports. Big day here for Dom DeLeo. He could pull this off and be a championship or be a champion on the other side of things. Didn't have a good season in Cub. Wasn't like last season where he got a win here at this racetrack, but it would be cool to see one of his cars win the race and possibly win the championship.
Into turn 1 for Greg Mitchell. Right on board. And again, no shifting, no funny business in these tonight. He'll be in 4th gear all the way around. Highest power and lowest downforce configuration of any car that we've driven in area this week. And really lifting early and going to turn down the racetrack and try to square up this exit, Connor, and try to get the best run possible onto the front straight. Still pedaling the throttle.
Oh.
He's loose out of 4.
He almost hit the wall. He almost completely messed it up, but he was able to keep it clean, and he'll have a good run into turn 1. He has to keep it so tight to the bottom through 1 and 2. Has to be absolutely perfect with his pedal work, with his wheel work, everything here.
Going to be crucial here to get off the corner, and then got to worry about turn 4. We've seen a couple of drivers get loose and just carry the car into the wall. See if we can make it through 3 and 4.
Final corners for Greg Mitchell on lap 1. Big slide there. Bigger slide on exit. The lap 1 is probably going to be a throwaway, but what is lap 2 hold? Or that was lap 2, rather. 37.91, and that is going to only be 8th quick for Greg Mitchell. So that was not the qualifying effort he was looking for.
And it didn't show his speed in practice either. He was putting faster times down in practice, so just a little bit too slidey out of 4. It's such an easy corner. It's probably the most unstable corner of the track. Turn 4, there's a little bit of a bump there. If you hit it wrong, it will really get your car sideways, but he was sideways before he was even hitting those, so just too much throttle, I think. That puts him 8th. I don't know if there's anyone else who's going to put a time down. Munsell just ended his run. No one else is on track looking to make another.
No, Munsell 5th quickest in the session. Also, Michael Leip has come back after a long break. He's 10th quickest in the session, but still got Paul Irvin, Ed Robertson, Sean Cochran, Chris Rabel, Shane Therian, and Jacob Hudson as well. I've yet to put down laps, but with the time winding down, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to go out.
They're not going to go out, and I was wondering if they were waiting to maybe wait for the track temperature to fall a little bit as we get into the nighttime here, but it's already almost at ambient, which means that it's not going to fall anymore, and there's nothing to gained by waiting. Shane Therian did load onto the racetrack, but is just rolling now and is not going to get enough time. That might not be true. He might get 1 lap in here, Connor, but not 2.
Yeah, he'll get 1 lap in for sure, but we've seen the really fast guys get their laps in on the second lap and just using lap 2 as a throwaway. I think he's just trying to work out kinks with his setup, if I had to guess, by going out like that. Maybe trying to see if he can run, if he has any issues. He's trying to exercise those demons and get him out, but I don't think he'll get a time down. We should be done. I really do think he's just trying to get everything sorted.
We're done at this stage. You can't get on track and get a full lap in before the session will tick over. So that's going to complete qualifying here from Nashville Super Speedway. 120 laps coming up for our season finale, and this is the last area race of the season. No more Cup, no more Truck, no more Lodgebox Series racing after this week, so this will be it for us until the season starts up again in a little while. No dates announced yet, but we will let you know. Our starting grid sponsor for our front row, which will be David Wise Hart and Travis Beckner. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. You can use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. So with this being the last race of the season, there's no more grudges to hold here, Connor. So if you make anyone mad tonight, hopefully you got a month to smooth it over before you head to Daytona. So is tonight the night where we see people kind of lay hands here, or with a smallish field and a championship 4 that are focused, do you think it's going to be nice and clean?
I would say it's going to be nice and clean for the most part, but if anyone's going to get roughed up tonight, it's Travis Beckner because of his driving style. We've seen him get into it with a number of drivers this season. He's gotten issues with Scully, issues with Weishart. He's been very aggressive, and people don't like it. And like you said at Auto Club, people don't like it because it's working. So it's really the only place I would expect to see any aggression, but I think that 27 is going to be too fast for a lot of people to deal with. He's got to deal with Scully before he deals with anyone else, though.
Beckner is going to be one to keep an eye on tonight for sure. If there's anyone that's going to make it aggressive for the championship, it's going to be him. I mean, it replicates the driving style of his favorite driver, Ross Chastain. They drive so similar. They're both not afraid to push it to the limit and then some.
That explains a lot. Now that
it does.
Puts 2 and 2 together. By the way, his last 5 finishes, let's throw out Las Vegas where he finished 10th. Okay, so 4 of the last 5 finishes, first, second, second, second. So that 27 is in really good shape. Sneak away a victory tonight. As we look at James Scioli, we mentioned he's had some solid runs. He comes in leading, but his last 5 finishes, 15th, 4th, 1st, and 16th, so it's really been hit or miss. And then for the 2 of Greg Mitchell, his last finishes, he's got a 1st, 14th, 9th, 3rd, and so kind of an interesting strategy, but if I'm looking at historics, at least the last month or so, I'm picking the 27, guys. Based on the last couple finishes, he's probably in the best spot of anybody with momentum, but so does the 2.
Yeah, 2's got a little bit of momentum for sure, but you can't just ignore how dominant Scully was last week. Completely different track, yes, but it's not like he doesn't have at least a little bit of momentum. He just got very unfortunate with what happened at the end of Richmond. He led 146 of 160 laps, which is insane for Richmond standards. That's something only Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch have done in real life, and for Scully to do that in an Xfinity car is pretty impressive. So I still got to see the 7 as the favorite. Beckner's very fast. He's been fast the past month or so, but that 7 has been dominant on every track we've gone to, every type of track at that. So I would not be surprised to see this turn into a kind of not even a dogfight, whatever the opposite of a dogfight is. I wouldn't expect it to become that because Scioli is very, very fast.
Could be either one. But yeah, looking at it, James Scioli, similar to Jake Nichols, definitely has had the stats this year of a champion caliber driver. Other than the polls, he leads all the playoff drivers in every single category, even has the best average finish out of 7.1. So we'll have to keep an eye on that 7 if he can turn that into a 1 and a 7th win on the season, possibly. Although you don't have to win the race to win the championship.
Well, I think we are giving a little bit of extra time for John Furness to get a chance to get in, but it's not going to happen. John Furness, with this, unless he's in the next, before really the race gets to lap 3 or so, he's really going to be essentially eliminated from the championship. It'll just be 3 fighting for their shot at a championship trophy in the Area Lodgebox Series. We'll head down to the racetrack now and get through our starting lineup for tonight as the sun sets behind the horizon and we focus ahead towards our 120-lap race. Here's your starting lineup. Row 1, David Weishart in the 33, not competing for a championship but trying to snag one more win on the year. Travis Beckner starts second in the 27, first of our playoff competitors.
Then the second of our playoff competitors, James Scioli, my pick, I'm just going to say it right now, my pick for the championship, and I think he's the favorite. He starts third. Alongside him, the 67, looking for redemption from the rest of the season, is Cameron Hearn.
Row 3, Justin Munsell in the number 20. Rob Ackley starts 6th in the number 14.
Garrett Grant's had a decent end of season, trying to cap it off strong. He starts 7th alongside our third and final championship competitor, Greg Mitchell.
9th place, Colin Fambro in the number 18, alongside Michael Leip in the 26. That Crown Royal throwback starts 10th.
Got a Camaro and a Mustang right next to each other. Bryce Senesac in the 09, and then the 1 of Steve Durham.
13th place, row 7, Forrest Smith's number 84. He'll start alongside Tom Bourne running his throwback scheme in the number 16. Starts 14th.
Bourne was the last driver to put a time down. Then we get the Chris Rabel in 15th, who was so close to being in championship contention. Not to be for him. He starts 15th alongside someone else who was very close, Shane Therian, in the 38.
Ed Robertson starts 17th, the number 64, and Paul Swerven Irvin starts 18th in the 48. Paul's kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks. I think he's looking for a better run tonight.
I would hope so. He's so fun to watch. If he can get to the front, it can be a show for sure. And then the only other driver on the grid right now is Matthew Cochran in the 4, that so recognizable Bass Pro Shops Camaro. Mike Tellier and Jacob Hudson will be the next two competitors, but they're not gridding, so that should leave us 19 cars.
The field is sitting at pit exit waiting to roll. There's the 27 just starting to skid backwards as we get set for our pace lap. Quick look at our race analysis. 120 laps. And we've got 21 drivers here, but only 19 look like they are going to start this race as they roll out onto the pace lap. Connor, here we go.
Our final warm-up lap for the rest of the season before we go green on the final race of the season. Very interested to see what happens. I think Weishart could be a sneaky pick for the win. He's been so fast this week, and he's just looking for something to go right in this Lodgebox series. It has not been the season he wanted. I don't believe he made the playoffs entirely, even with the speed he's had, but that looking to end on a high note. Another driver looking for some redemption.
Hunter, who you got winning this thing, championship and the race?
I'm going to say the 7 to Scioli. He gets the job done.
Connor.
I'm going with Scioli as well. I think it's going to be him.
None of y'all picking the 27? Come on. I got Travis Beckner. He's getting up there, rough up that number 7. He's going by. He's getting the championship
Can't ride
trophy.
the wall here.
And he's smashing a watermelon on the ground. I bet you he's going to do all that here. 120 laps. It'll be about an hour and 1 minute if we go green from flag to flag. Distinct possibility here in Nashville. The area Lodgebox Series finale from Nashville is about to get underway. The last race of the season is green. Lap 1 complete. Weishart leads at the line. Scioli and Beckner battling for second. They're 3 abreast in the background. Garrett Grant is in the middle of 3 wide into turn 1, Connor.
Ooh, it's almost not going to work as Mike Taylor does get on track. Durham way up the track as our 20th driver gets on track as they're just trying to scramble out and find some room away from each other. 8th on back, very unsorted out as Beckner has to drop off of the 7 of Scioli, and Scioli goes to the lead. Weishart kind of let him go there.
No contest whatsoever from the owner of David Weishart Racing. That's another thing, is Michael Leip caught the wall back there coming out of 4th. The Owners Championship, that's something that could be up for grabs still from a couple of the other teams, but right now DWR holding strong with the first 2 spots.
Travis Beckner falls to 3rd. Cameron Hearn 4th. Justin Munsell in 5th. Looks like a new livery for Munsell here this week with the Raycon car, number 20. Take a light with that contact in the wall out of turn 4 last time around. There is a crinkle to that right front fender. Forrest Smith is going to cross him over, and he'll dive underneath for 10th place on the front stretch.
Yeah, Leip hit it hard, and he was hitting it a lot in practice as well, and only 2 laps in, he's going to have right front damage to contend with for the rest of this race as he goes way high. So hard to keep it down if you're on that second groove. It's so hard to get grip up there.
hard to keep control of the car too. No Larson line can work here. Not even Kyle Larson can do it. That's just how challenging this racetrack is. And speaking of Kyle Larson, that is the 5 of Garrett Grant. Very similar number there. Obviously, they run the same number, and Larson is the favorite driver for Garrett Grant. Looking to make up a little ground. He started up front, and it's just fallen like a rock since.
Yeah, big trouble for the 5. I'm not sure exactly what prompted him to drop this far back, but it's not going the right direction. That is certain. Here's Steve Durham and Paul Irvin side by side down the backstretch. This is for 16th place. No changes up front. How about this one, though? Ravel in the 29 under fire from Forrest Smith. And you guys mentioned that outside lane being a no-go zone. This track does not feature progressive banking. The angle of the concrete at the apron, or where the apron starts, is exactly where the angle of the concrete is up by the wall, which means if you get out of that bottom rubbered-in groove, it is just a slick, non-rubbered, marbled-in area of racetrack that will send you straight to the wall, as Beckner now has pressure from Cameron Hearn.
And I think we'll see some door-to-door action, mainly because you cannot go any higher than on someone's door if you're on the outside. It's going to be hard to pass. You might have to pass on the outside as well. If you try to get under someone, you don't have enough positioning, enough of a run to get by them before the middle of the corner, you're very unlikely to make that pass work, because they can just pinch you down and ruin your run. And it's either going to come down to you're going to have to lift and they're going to get back by you, or you're going to cause a wreck by just throttling into them. So very hard to make a pass here. You're going to have to get them loose and maybe even try to get to the outside and use up the tires to do that.
There's the 38 of Fingering moving pass. 16 of Tom Bourne, that's for the 14th spot. They're looking to put together a strong finish to the season as we are under beautiful skies here in the sim.
Yeah, gorgeous, kind of almost a shockingly orange and pink sky over turns 1 and 2. Really pretty out there tonight, that's for certain. You know, we don't get treated to that a whole lot here in iRacing, because the weather, everyone kind of always picks the same weather and same cloud cover, and it kind of ends up feeling very repeated. But tonight, a very unique looking sky we've got, as Weishart now feeling some pressure from Beckner, but Scioli is putting a gap on the rest of the field up to half a second. And guys, the races this week were pretty anticlimactic and clean and green. We haven't had any dramas really to speak of this week. And tonight already doesn't look like it's going to be that either. So we're going to finish out Nashville with the dominant drivers getting it done. Skyler's off to a good start.
This is a track that really promotes spread out racing. It's not somewhere you can race side by side very easily, so dirty air can really spread things out very quickly. It's just not a track that's easy to crash on. It's a little bit, it's easy to be clean here. It's kind of difficult to spin the thing, because most of the time when the tires wear out, it makes the car very tight. So it gets hard to spin out. You very rarely see mistakes, which is why you very rarely see yellows here. We haven't seen many yellows here, so not very surprising for this type of track. By the way, all these clouds are on a track. If iRacing had rain yet, I'd say we're racing the lap 60, not 120.
Well, speaking of mistakes, just saw a little mistake there from the 38 of Shane Theory. He'll end up losing that spot to Tom Bourne. Got a little loose there coming out of 4. And now Bourne looking to take away 13th from Michael Live as he continues to fall.
Yeah, good little scrap going on back here. Just outside of the top 10. This is now for 13th place, and I think Bourne is a smidge quicker. Last time by was 0.3 faster. They're all kind of stuck in behind Robertson as well. But look at Light go up the racetrack. Immediately, as soon as he does that, loses the nose of the car as Bourne now goes to the inside.
I guess his Roush Racing teammate gets to the inside. I remember Roush running Supras, but close enough, as they're going to go side by side. Still beautiful pace schemes, as Life not trying to give it up easily. Hits that bump out of 4, but keeps it pinned to the 16s. Oh, car in the wall in front of him? No, I think that was a glitch, but they stay side by side. I thought Ed Robertson bounced off it, but he got as close to it as he could without hitting it, as these two not giving an inch, but Life washes up.
Yeah, Life still trying to fight for control underneath that 26 car. Bounced into the outside wall very early on, I believe on the second lap. Second lap. And it just has not handled for him right since. Also hard to get something going on that second lane. You mentioned everyone wants to get on the bottom right around that apron, that yellow line. Yes, there is a yellow line down there, folks. But that's really the most dominant groove you're going to want to be in. If you're on the outside, you got to find a way to get around the car below you and hope for something like the 38 to get loose. Not going to happen there, though.
Just ahead, Tom Bourne continuing his progress forward past Ed Robertson, and now has Forrest Smith in view. He's going to get him out of the groove and go to the bottom here in 3 and 4. That yellow line, as you guys mentioned, it's a little hard to see because of the difference in contrast between the white concrete and the black asphalt on the apron, but it is there. This track also has a pretty nasty bump in turns 3 and 4. Now, we didn't document that a whole lot at the beginning of the show, but in a car with this much power and this little downforce, as life goes way high in 1 and 2, that 3 and 4 can be pretty treacherous, and you have to wait pretty long to get back on throttle at risk of spinning the rear tires.
That's why I think it's the most treacherous corner, because that bump can catch you by surprise. You think you got all the grip in the world, even on old tires. You think you got enough grip, you can put X amount of throttle in and get off the corner, but that bump, you hit it, it'll jerk your car sideways, and you will have no more control over it. And by the time you do maybe catch it, you're in the outside wall, as we're going to see that probably get a little bit better as the track gets a little bit cooler, but still something to look out for. As yes, that's Greg Mitchell getting a little bit out of shape here over the
Watch this
straightaway. It's got extremely close. I don't think that was any net code. I think that was a little bit of a tap, but I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. He's moved up now 2 positions.
I'm surprised we didn't see that at all Monday night with how close the cars were coming to the wall, trying to arc it, getting into that corner, get the perfect turn. Don't want to get too tight or too loose there, so didn't hurt him too bad. Still on the bumper of Mitchell, though. A little further back, Shane Theory and Steve Durham. Michael Light, they're all going at it, 14th, 15th, 16th, and then 17th, Swerve and Irvin.
These guys have not really been able to get clear of each other. They just keep swapping spots back and forth. Somebody botches the corner, drops a spot, then passes the other guy when he botches the corner. This time Irvin trying to take advantage, but they're all basically fighting for 14th, 15th, 16th. So I'm sure they'd all like to be up the order. But in terms of tire fall off, we're seeing kind of what we saw all week. This is an abrasive racetrack. And even for our leader, Scioli, we're off basically 0.7 of a second within 17 laps. And Connor, it came down to strategy on Monday. You really want to have better tires and pit later than everyone else, but still leave yourself enough time to go by and pass everybody. Green flag pit stops were the name of the game tonight. It also means you have to execute pit entry, which we saw be a challenge in both series.
Yeah, the only one that I saw practicing pit entry is Greg Mitchell, as well. Forrest Smith and Steve Durham got very close off before, but he's the only one I saw practicing it. I don't doubt that the other 2 can make it in there cleanly as life goes up the track again, but it is something that's important to note that the 2 cars practicing it, and he's probably someone who's going to need a little bit of strategy to win this one. His competitors first and third about over a second ahead of him. Mitchell's made up time, but he's going to have to probably make up more time in the pits than anyone else.
The other thing that will be key here is coming on, making green flag pit stops. Don't want to overslide your pit box, or in some cases, underslide your pit box. We've seen that a couple of times this season where drivers played a little too safe and they miss their pit box. They don't overshoot it, they undershoot it. So you don't want to overcook it or undercook it. You want to get it just right, especially under the green flag conditions, because if you mess up, it could cost you the championship.
I've done that before. Stop short in the pit box. That is so frustrating because you're just trying so hard not to mess it up. And you focus on that, and then you still mess it up, just the other direction.
I'd rather undercook than overcook, though. Let that be known. I'd rather come up short than come up way long.
Don't have to put the clutch in and put it in reverse and flip the clutch and get it back. It's a lot easier to just roll forward a little bit more than it is to change gear and switch directions, that's for sure.
Sure. Still seeing things spreading out. Tom Bourne and Robertson have been bumper to bumper. Well, for 16th, they still don't want to sort this out. They're going to go looking 3 wide into turn number 3. That won't work. Lipe has, look at all these drivers back here, damage as well. Lipe from lap 2, Forrest Smith was in the wall recently as he starts to drop back almost to, he's going to hit it again, and he's going to drop all the way last on the track, 19. Italier start parked, so down to 19 cars early.
A lot of damage on that 84 car, Hunter,
yeah.
But that's gonna pull him way back.
Indeed, and he's already at the bottom of the grid here. Gonna see if he'll maybe come down pit road, try to repair that, or he might call it a night as well. Saw that a couple of times Monday where drivers got in trouble very early on, and instead of fighting to get back to where they were, they just called it a night and hit the showers early.
Working lap 22, under 100 laps to go here, and it's been clean and green since the start of the race. There's a couple minor issues for some drivers up in the mix as we go back to find the closest battles on the racetrack. It continues to be this group. This time Garrett Grant, the genesis of it. Michael Lipe right behind him, and then Matthew Cochran in the number 4. Up front, no changes there. Skyly leads by 0.6. It's not the largest the gap has been. Weishart has eaten into that some, but it's not coming down significantly either, but we'll keep our close eye on it.
That being said, he did just take 0.3 out of it that lap alone, but still not close enough to make any move. Not really a battle. Travis Beckner, every time I see him going into turn number 3 specifically, he's really kicking the rear out, just trying to get a lot of grip through that corner, probably using the tire more than he needs to. I don't know how well that's going to hold up until they have to make their green flag pit stop, but he does have a decent gap to Cameron Hearn, so he might be able to try a few things here.
And here's Beckner in the 27 car. He stabilized that gap between himself and Scioli. Really, this top 3, they've kind of kept it the same over the last 10 laps or so. Hearn has closed in about 2/10 since then, but very spread out, very similar lap times. No one's overcooking anything just yet, possibly saving the tires for the longer run. As, once again, see the gorgeous sunset here in Nashville.
And you're going to be stopping this race, I'd imagine, stopping at lap 60 and running to the end. But you might try to go a little bit further than that if you can bear it, and try to pit a little bit later and have a tire advantage. If you see anybody pit before halfway, they're going to be at a disadvantage in the long term. They'll get that advantage when they come out of the pits and everything cycles, but Connor, we've seen that be a losing strategy time and time again. So you got enough laps, the track is abrasive enough and slows you down enough that if you can stay out a couple extra laps, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, 25 laps in, and Scioli is already a second off, so yes, the pace is going to slow down enough for that to work. This is definitely not a track I would want a short pit at, especially with how prone it is to going green. I don't see an advantage to it, so we're going to see a lot of people go the long route tonight as Forrest Smith becomes our second casualty tonight. He does call it a night, leaving 18 cars on track. As almost looks like Scioli had a huge lift at it too to make sure he didn't hit the wall.
Yeah, and he lost a lot of ground, Hunter. 3/10 back now is all Weishart is.
Yeah, Weishart, again, he wants to win the race, but at the same time, his driver, James Scioli, going at it for the championship, and really DWR, it's got this owner's championship locked up as well. They're sitting 1-2 on the track, although Travis Beckner has closed in, as has Weishart, because of the mishap that Scioli had just a lap ago, but we'll see how things play out here, almost a quarter of the way done.
Race is going by pretty quickly. Again, these laps are basically as fast as the Cup cars on Monday, but this race is a couple laps shorter. What you end up getting is a pretty quick passing race, and to me, the race is almost over when you get about 25 minutes left is when it really feels like it's coming down to the wire. And we're only about 25 minutes from that. So just keep that in mind that we have about 50 minutes left in this race and it goes green. And what I mean by that is that, the races this season have been fairly long as far as I'm used to here at Sim TV compared to some of the leagues we used to do. Races that would take an hour 30, an hour 40. So anything under an hour is a really quick race. And tonight, it might be that if we stay green like we have been so far.
And it might force Travis Beckner, Greg Mitchell's hand. If it does go green with Scioli leading, it might force our hand where they do have to pit early to have any sort of chance to get track position over the 7, have a chance at the championship. It might just come down to that. And even then, Scioli can probably just shut it off and not have to worry about it. So if this does go green, which most likely it will, we don't know, but it's going to be very hard to beat the 7 when Beckner's already a second back and Greg Mitchell's a second and a half back of that.
Well, we thought we were going to see a yellow Monday night after Dom DeLeo and Travis Beckner collided on the front stretch. If that were last week at Richmond, that would have been 7 cautions, but it was not a yellow, so we can get close to one, but it'll all be determined by the AI here on iRacing if it is indeed a caution. But gap has stayed the same, though. 4/10 back is Weishart from Scioli, kind of like a security blanket for Scioli, as 27 at Beckner still putting in solid laps but not closing in.
It's amazing when everyone's on the same tire and same tire strategy, you're almost like tidally locked if no one makes a mistake. You're just stuck wherever you land. Someone will make a mistake, you'll gain 2/10, and then you're stuck there. You have to wait for them to make another mistake. You can gain another 2/10, and then you're stuck there. You need them to either make mistakes or have a tire differential, and that's why pitting later is so important, because it's very difficult to make any ground without fresher rubber than the guy ahead of you. Weishart's chipping away at it, but it's not netting him a whole lot unless the 7 also has that big lift like we saw a couple laps ago.
He's probably going to need 1 or 2 more of those for Weishart to have a realistic passing opportunity, as he cuts another just under a 10th out there. But even when he gets close to it within maybe 3 or 4 tenths, with how much hogging Scioli is doing to the bottom lane, he has no clean air to really get on that nose. So those 10 steady gains, he just pushes away from the 7 and gives it right back because the dirty air just gets so turbulent and really hurts the front end of that 33. So it's really tough to close in on someone at this stage, especially on old tires.
Well, speaking of close in, Cameron Hearn has closed the gap quite a bit as well. He's closed up. It was 2.1 back from the leader, now 1.5 and 1.4 slowly closing in and about to catch the podium driver in that podium spot, Travis Beckner, and Justin Munsell too in the new number 20.
It's kind of doing that little accordion effect that you see every now and then where someone kind of sprints away, but as they fall back into the clutches, the guys that were running a little slower, they've saved a bit more tire, and they all kind of start to compress. But the gap between Weishart and Beckner is a little bigger than it was. Beckner's back to where he was when Weishart was about 7/10 back, but 33 is now only 2/10 back. So a couple of different distinct groups of cars getting sorted out here as we approach lap number 40.
Sort of a tale of two different drivers, how Cameron Hearn and Justin Munsell, last few laps, they've sort of been the two best drivers on the track time-wise right now. Meanwhile, it's the 27 of Beckner who's really giving up time. Out of everyone in the top 5, he's the only one in the 32-second bracket, and the next driver in the 32-second bracket is all the way back to Bryce Senesac at 10th. So he's definitely driven the tires off a little bit. Cameron Hearn is going to be all over him for this 3rd position. He's not even going to bother contesting. He'll just get back in behind Hearn. Thought he was going to give him a bumper, but got very close and lets him by. He's at 67, even last time by, still the fastest driver on the track.
Indeed he is. He just moved up to that 3rd spot, and a little further up the road, Weishart is closed all the way towards the bumper of Scioli. He doesn't want to, make it too hard for the 7 and overcook his stuff, especially considering he's going at it for the championship. But that 67 is closing in gap. Now 1 second between he and Weishart.
There's a bit of a group forming behind Bryce Senesac as well for 10th. That's Tom Bourne and Ed Robertson. Bourne's actually had a pretty good climb, 14th up to 11th. He went rearward early in the race and is now out to crack the top 10 if he can dispatch this number 16. Excuse me, the number 09. 16 is himself.
Pass himself?
Well, you're going to have a hard time doing that. Real hard to get track position on yourself.
Yeah, it's always the mental battle, I guess, in that case.
Well, you always tie. I guess that's the good way of looking at it.
I guess that's one way to look at it. Another driver who fell back and is trying to climb back is Garrett Grant. Started all the way back up in 7th. He dropped as far back as about 17th. Now he's back up to 14th, struggling to get the bumps into turn 1. Trying to corral that car over the bumps. A few bumps in turn 1, but not too turbulent unless you're too high up the track. You just got by Steve Durham for that 14th position as Scioli continues to lead, and those two start to sort of re-establish a gap on Cameron Hearn, or at least trying to. But once again, Hearn a little bit faster than those two. As here comes, I think Justin Munsell's coming for 3rd, and Beckner this time is going to fight it.
He's looking for 4th on the track. Hearn has the 3rd spot and might have a couple more in the next handful of laps or so, but Beckner not putting up, or not letting the 20 take the spot away. He's not giving up without a fight.
That was so close there when he slid in behind him on the straightaway. That almost didn't work out.
Yeah, I think this is Beckner kind of showing how far he wants to drop back. He was fine with getting up the 3rd position to let Cameron Hearn maybe run them down, but it's very clear to see that he does not want to drop any further back than he already has. He's giving up a lot of time doing this as well. Last time by about 2.5 tenths slower than leader James Scioli, so he cannot afford to give up too many more positions because only a car between him and the next competitor needs to worry about Greg Mitchell.
Indeed, and remember, you don't have to win the race to win the championship unless the top 2 are championship drivers. In that case, second place wouldn't even win to win the championship. But look a little further back at it. Robertson, Bryce Senesac, as Tom Bourne's moved inside the top 10. Solid for him. Ed Robertson losing the 11th spot to Senesac. Senesac trying to limit the damage.
Robertson's going to try to cross him over here on the back straightaway, but stays behind into turn 3. Hit the 1/3 mark of this race this time around. James Scioli leads the way here. Whoever finishes ahead of the others in the green on the timing and scoring, that will be your champion. Scioli, Beckner, and Greg Mitchell all fighting for that opportunity. You're watching SimTV in the season finale of the Area Lodgebox Series. Seen our SimRat Market replay a couple times tonight, but not for any major incidents. But fans, be sure to check out simratmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Tell you what, it's getting pretty interesting back here for P11. Senesac and Robertson continue to fight inches apart on the front straightaway car.
And Michael Light hits pit lane. He was back in 17th. Actually, no, he was back in 18th. He's the first to pit. Not really scheduled, I assume, but he's been really struggling with the handle as this battle, like you said, does continue to kind of go crazy, I would say. And Robertson, very sideways attitude, trying to stay with the 09 of Senesac. With Travis Beckner, he's kind of been able to maintain that gap in 4th place. He almost hit the wall following Cameron Hearn, but he's able to maintain. He fought off the 1 challenge from Munsell and continues to do so. Very similar time to Scully last time by, but still 2 seconds back. He's going to probably need the short pit on this probably only pit stop to get under green.
Now, speaking of pit stops, there on the left, you just saw Michael Light come out of pit road. He's the first one to come down and actually come out of pit road and not calling it night, but on board the bumper of Greg Mitchell. He's going to have to do something to get himself back in the heat of things, although closing in on Munsell. It's really kind of spread out here. Not too far, but kind of close enough between the top 6 or so. And Scioli's opened the gap up to 7 car lengths now and then some over David Weishart, and Hearn continuing to close in on Weishart for that 2nd spot.
So here's the thing about Greg Mitchell right now. If you look at the strategy that he could play, he's going to see that he's only 2.4 seconds back from Scioli. That's not very far. What he's going to see is that if he short pits by 2 laps, he'll be ahead of Scioli when they cycle back out. But what we should also be looking at is that he's close enough that if you were to pit 2 laps after Scioli, he would lose some time, but he would gain that all back and have more tire on his car later in the race to move forward instead of playing defense. So if I'm Greg Mitchell, I'm looking at the timing and scoring, seeing that I'm less than a couple of seconds back, nearly 50 laps in, and knowing that, man, I am close enough that I can try an overcut and not have to try out the undercut just to gain time. He's close. He could do the undercut and get ahead of Scioli, but short-term gain, long-term loss like always.
Yeah, but at what point do you realize you're not going to get the track position without either doing that or trying to get a yellow? There's what are the way are these two, Travis Beckner, Rick Mitchell, going to be able to have any track position over Scioli? It seems like with this going green and getting very spread out, the only option to get a spot over the 7 is to short pit by a lap or 2, maybe even 3, and then just try to fend them off for 60-plus laps. At this point, without a yellow, that might be not only Greg Mitchell's only option, but also Travis Beckner's.
See the cars flying by the front stretch. That battle for 2nd definitely closing in, and the battle for 4th as well. Going to be interesting to see how both of these play out, as you see Michael Light on the fresher tires. That just shows how much of a difference it is on tires. Over 40 laps between Light and the top 3, and you just see how much ground he's making up. Going to be interesting with this battle for 2nd that's about to heat up.
7/10 a lap is what it was worth last time by, and Light was about 4/10 off in terms of his best lap in comparison to the leaders. Look at Weishart, though, having to go shallow into turn 1, and the 67 had full racetrack width to arc into the corner, so he made up a little bit more ground, and he's going to put some pressure on Weishart now. And these two are both not in the playoffs. They're just trying to get a win, and their goals are very different from those behind them, Beckner and Mitchell.
Ooh, 33 sideways into turn 3, trying to pin the bottom. Not going to work. Washes up. Here comes Hearn. A great run out of 4, and we'll see how hard Weishart tries to fight it. Hearn gets to be inside, and he should have easy positioning into turn 1 to make this pass. Weishart won't fight it any longer.
Well, the security blanket for James Scioli is gone, and meanwhile, I was going to say Mitchell's closed in on Munsell for a 5th spot. Now they're door-to-door for the position coming out of 2.
Greg Mitchell trying to move back forward and get himself a little bit closer. Certainly, he's already guaranteed himself at least a 3rd in the championship with the absence of his teammate. Very close, wow. Maybe a touch there. If there wasn't a touch, it was inches between him and Justin Munsell. But this is an important pass for Mitchell to make, and shows me that he's saving enough tire to move forward later in the run.
I think there was slight contact, maybe a little bit of neck code, but it definitely fired Munsell up the track more than he wanted to go. That gets Mitchell's pass done, but 20's not going to let him go easy. A little bit of a crossover, and he's looking to go inside, and I think he's going to try it. Not going to let the championship contender go easy.
Mitchell going to give him all the room and then some, basically running the 3rd lane with how much of a gap there is between the two. And coming off of 4, it's still going to be side by side. Meanwhile, right behind them, Colin Fambro, Rob Ackley going at it for the 7th spot. Got battles starting to happen all over the racetrack, Kyle.
Yeah, tires are wearing out now, and we're about 10 laps from halfway, which means that pit stops are coming soon, and drivers are burning up their stuff at the moment, using whatever they've got left on the plate. Looks like Mitchell is going to complete this pass on Munsell, Fambro on Ackley, so 2 position swapping here. But now the strategy begins, Connor, within the realm now. You can make it to the end on fuel. When do you pit? Some are going to go probably right at lap 60. Some might wait 5-10 laps, but it's not going to be an enormous spread. I don't think they got that much fuel.
Yeah, you can't go too much. You can't come too early. You can't cut it that close on fuel. So I think cutting it halfway would be 60. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 27 come in 57 or 58. That would be what I would do to try to get positioning over the 7. Sort of like what happened at Auto Club, what David Weishart tried to do, to just try to hold him off on older tires. It's really the only option they have left unless something crazy happens.
Riding in car, the number 20. Just lost that position to Greg Mitchell. Still going to give an effort to try and get around him. Hasn't really moved the whole lot. See that he started 5th, and he's kind of stayed inside that top 5, although just lost that to Mitchell, so we'll see how he does in the next 10 laps or so. Meanwhile, this battle will never die. That's Ed Robertson and Bryce Senesac still going at it, trading the 11th position back and forth, back and forth.
And these two have done that a handful of times. But up front, Scioli leads by 9/10 of a second. He has led 52 of the 53 completed laps in this race. The only other lap leader was David Weishart in the number 33. He led the first lap, and that was it.
Looked like he bounced off the wall a little bit at it too, but I don't see much damage. Travis Beckner trying to close back in. In fact, he has been closing back in on the 33. Might have cooked this up a little bit, tried to drive hard, maybe a little bit too early. The 27's coming back on him now. 27's also faster than the 3 drivers in front of him, so playing maybe a longer game than I thought he would. It looked like he was struggling the mid portion of the run. Is coming back a little bit now.
Riding on board the 27, the brand new paint scheme for Travis Beckner is in a blue number 27 for most of the season, and switched to the white number 27 for the championship event. Easier to point out under the lights here at Nashville, and still making up ground on the 33 of Weishart.
And I'm looking at this right now. He's still faster than Scioli. That time he was a hair slower. But I'm looking at this 27. This 33 is throwing this car around. But I'm looking at Travis Beckner going, save less next time, because you're faster now, and you're not going to be able to use that because, look, we're at halfway. If he does the same thing again, he's going to end up with a net deficit to Scioli in the second half of the race. So if you've got tire left, you can use a little more on the next half of the race and hopefully get yourself a little closer. That 33, though, Connor, he is struggling big time.
Oh, yeah, big slide there. The only reason I made a noise during you talking is Senesac got the bumper from Ed Robertson last time out of 4. They almost wrecked, but they saved it. But yeah, that 33 definitely started driving hard too early, and it's let Beckner get back to him to take that 3rd position back. The 27 kind of let Weishart by. Weishart respectfully returns the favor, and we're not too far away from pit stops here, but we'll see how close Beckner can get to Cameron Hearn before those pit stops happen.
Closing in on halfway, 1 second separating Scioli and
That was Weishart.
Oh, and here we go. Doors open.
Pit stops underway. The 33 is the first to break. 2 laps shy of halfway. 3 laps shy, rather. Cameron Hearn matching or beating the pace of Scioli. The same with Beckner. So they've really equalized out in the top 3 here. It's 1 second back to Hearn, 2.3 back to Beckner. I wonder if someone is just going to come right on the money lap, lap 60. That makes sense mathematically.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mitchell come in.
Yeah, but
he's not going to. Here comes... Nope, thought Rabel was going to pit.
Mathematically, halfway is the best time to come. Strategically, though, might be a little bit later than that.
No, strategically, words. You wouldn't want to come in that early. You want the freshest tires. Maybe even 65 would be an okay lap to come in. It all depends on how far you want to push on the fuel, and depending on how much you've worn the tires out, depends on whether the tires will last that far. That's why I start just exiting pit road. Got to exit on that access road as we'll see if anyone else comes down. Looks like Munsell's pitting. Yes, he is. So he's the 2nd driver. Oh, Beckner just slammed the wall out of 4.
Oh, he's got big damage on the side of that 27.
Wow, big hit there. Completely, I guess, unprompted. He was all on his own. He was making time, trying to get too much out of it. Right
Ooh,
there.
oh, man.
Big slap.
Massive damage to the right side of the 27. You can just see as we're just now crossing halfway. He's got to deal with that for the rest of the race and can't spend too much time trying to repair it. We got green flag pit stops coming up. Don't know when that's going to happen for 27, but definitely a slower pace there for Beckner, riding on board with Mitchell as he closes in.
Yeah, Greg Mitchell, that was the best thing he could have seen as we crossed the halfway point, is see one of his playoff competitors hit the wall ahead of him. It's going to slow Beckner down. We'll see by how much. He was half a second off last time by, but that was, of course, the lap with some of that slowdown from the contact. So if he's off by more than a tenth or two, that's going to be big, big trouble for the 27 as Greg Mitchell closes in.
Whoa, here comes Hearn.
Hearn on pit lane from
Bambro.
second. Now,
Bambro as well.
Scioli crossed the line at a 32.1, Beckner at a 32.3, so maybe not disaster, but it's certainly not helping.
And Garrett Grant's in as well. I jumped up with Hearn pitting because he almost spun it, but yeah, definitely not hurting him as badly as I thought it would. It was a big slap, but it's definitely not helping him, as you can't do that in this situation.
Here comes the
Mistakes
leader.
you cannot make. Yep, Scioli's going to pit. You might have seen the call from Greg Mitchell that he's pitting, and Mitchell's going to pit as well. Beckner's going to do the opposite. Rabel pits, Beckner stays out.
So I like that call by Beckner, Hunter, to stay out a little bit longer. You know you've got damage. You know you've got a deficit. The best thing you can do is help yourself by giving yourself at least a little bit of a tire advantage. It might not be by a lot, but it's something.
Indeed, we saw that Monday night with Michael Curran. He stayed out and got 2 extra laps on his tires compared to Jake Nichols, but in the end it got him closer to a championship than what we had originally thought of by staying out just a couple of laps longer, and Beckner looks like he's going to do the same. Not going to pit this time, although very loose is that 27 coming out of the corner. And it seems like everything's all good for the 7 of Scioli, the 2 of Mitchell coming out of pit road. See how the second half of the race goes for both those guys.
They're rolling now on the apron and getting back up to speed. Chris Rabel in the background there as well. Top 7 have yet to pit. That's everybody from Travis Beckner back to Matthew Cochran. And Beckner this time is going to slam the brakes and head to pit lane, and he's going to bring, thought he was going to bring Rob Ackley with him, but he didn't.
Then Ackley takes the lead. Tom Bourne's next. He'll stay out another lap. Trying to look at who were the leaders. Scioli came out, I believe, behind Cameron Hearn, who I think pit only a lap before, so see how much Hearn can do. He's up the track a little bit, as this should be the battle. Well, it's not the battle for the effective lead yet. David Weishart's even further up the road.
Yeah, a little further up the road. Did pit a little earlier, though. I'm not sure if Weishart's going to have the fuel to make it, but we'll see at the end of this one. Coming to 55 laps to go. Scioli closing in on Hearn for what would presumably be the second position, as Beckner's still on pit road, just now exiting his stall, and see how the rest of the race goes for him.
So he's got a 2-lap advantage. It's not significant. He's going to lose a lot of time and positions, but he's just hoping it goes green and he can use it up towards the end of the race. This is going to be the fiercest battle on the track for a bit, I think. Cameron Hearn and Scioli, this is for 5th right now, but it's going to cycle to be 2nd is this battle because Weishart's ahead of them. And Scioli is a hair quicker, but again, 1 lap of difference is not significant enough to make this pass any easier, Connor.
I always talk about the phrase catching's one thing, passing's another, and this is a track that phrase could not be repeated enough. Catching is so hard to do with the dirty air, and passing even more difficult. We haven't seen too many passes, especially on the short run. We didn't really see much changing around either, but that might have to change here as Hearn's going to get held up by Steve Durham. He's going to give a little bit of a bumper to the one. He's going to even give him the door almost. Oh, into the wall!
Scioli bails to the apron, but drama's there with a lap car.
Yeah, these two they've had their own little personal beef over in the Discord for a little bit now, but not sure if that's carried into what we just saw here. It kind of looks like it, as lap car getting in the way, and just a little clip there. Not really sure, but these two definitely had beef over last week.
Kept the lead out of it somehow. It almost looked like Hearn turned right, but he had to be loose to do that, as somehow it looks like the right front's fine, but the right rear's really taking the brunt of the damage. But Scioli still has to fight his way by this car.
Riding on board the 7, and Hearn's going to drop and let the 7 go. And he's just going to park it in front of the 1, this is going to continue.
It's definitely not going to end until lap 120. Might not even end there.
Loose out of 4. I'm just curious to see where this is going to go, guys, because a caution would totally throw a wrench into this, and this might be the most volatile situation we've had on track all night.
I think that's a given. That's the most interesting situation. That did help the 33 of Weishart a little bit too. It kind of prolongs Scioli getting to him, so we'll see when the 7 does catch the 33, as these two are going to be bumper to bumper for a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, I don't want to see yellow come out, especially not like this, just because you're trying to one-up someone on the racetrack, and that's going to screw over the championship for someone. If this indeed does create a caution. Doesn't seem like it though. 67 starting to create a little more of a gap to the 1.
It would be very interesting to me if Cameron Hearn gave the 7 a break and then proceeded to wreck his race by bringing everyone closer again, giving him an opportunity to pit. So we'll leave those 2 alone for now. Here's Colin Fambro and Greg Mitchell. This is for 5th place, and Mitchell moving forward. Again, he's on same tire strategy as Scioli, but now a handful of seconds back, about 4 back from the 7.
Yeah, he needs to go for sure, as Mitchell, he is going to get the position from Fambro as he's trying to keep up and make sure he stays ahead of Chris Rabel. Rabel just got by Paul Irvin, not for position. Cameron Hearn letting it known in the chat how unhappy he is with Steve Durham, as those two not close enough to really be a threat yet, as Travis Beckner is also behind Paul Irvin. He's trying to keep pace with Chris Rabel. Trying to look at the times. Beckner 31.1 last time by. Scioli 31.132. So yes, faster, but not nearly by enough.
Something's bound to happen. That one is driving
looking at it.
corner
Yeah.
I don't
way
understand.
more than the 67.
Does anybody understand what the 67's mad about? Because the contact was on the 67. He was loose or turned right, but I don't think the 1 did. Maybe he pinched him a little tight on exit there, but I don't really know why that would.
There was a pinch for sure, but
Sure.
I don't know that it warrants. Clearly both over chat. They clearly both disagreed over what happened. Unless this is a running thing,
It's got to be. There's no way that that would drive you crazy enough to.
No, this has been personal beef in the Discord that started last week after the Richmond race. So it's kind of got escalated a little further there. A little personal beef between the two. So obviously they butt heads on the racetrack now. What a coincidence! But we'll see if cooler heads prevail as laps continue to wind down after the little skirmish between the two on the racetrack just happened.
Almost like the 67's trying to draw more, which is maybe won't do anything, but is inviting the 1 to participate. But certainly drama beginning to pop the tea kettle here a little bit.
It's just frustration over the season. We know Cameron Hearn's had speed to potentially win races, and he gets loose again. He just hasn't had the luck go his way. It's another thing where, yeah, there's some conflict there, but just another thing being wrong place, wrong time for her, and it's just all the frustration from all the races that have gone wrong, probably boiling
back there in the wall.
One incident. That was another big hit. Not a big hit.
Second time we saw a driver clip the wall heading into the turn, and second time it was a championship contender. Earlier, Greg Mitchell, now Travis Beckner. He's just fighting for car control here. He's just trying to make it to the end of this one. But back to the Hearn and Durham little skirmish that they're still close on the racetrack. I don't know how it would feel if I'm just in Munsell slowly creeping in on the 3rd place battle. There you see in the 20.
Well, Munsell will have to dispatch the 1, and I think you put a car between these two, they might refocus their energies here. But we're getting down to the very end of this, guys. 23 minutes to go. Working lap 76 of 120. Scioli is 20 minutes away from a championship trophy. He's also still 1 second back from Weishart. He's still gaining 0.3 a lap, but the 33 still has track position on.
Not catching by much, but he is still catching. Actually, last time by it was about 0.2, so he is starting to close in a little bit faster as 3rd place Hearn, then Durham, Munsell. They'll navigate by Michael Leip, who just went a lap down. That's for the lucky dog, so Durham will have that for the time being as Munsell closes in on this battle, trying to get the 3rd. Durham not giving an inch just yet.
Not quite, although starting to lose a little bit of ground to Hearn. Might have to consider letting the 20 go, considering
There he goes.
They're battling for position. He's going to give him the inside.
Oh, Hearn's literally
closer.
Yeah,
Hearn's just sitting in front of him on purpose.
I think
it's very clear now.
Yeah, I think Hearn's definitely doing that. He gave up a spot on the race. I mean, again, last race of the season, you got a month for any suspensions and things to bubble off and boil away. So who knows what's going to happen? But now it's clear that something else is about to happen here.
It reminds me of Kurt Busch, Brett Keselowski. They get closer again. They come together. They door each other. One gives the finger, and then it goes off again. And nothing happened after that. And actually, Kurt won the race after that happened, that same race. But I don't think if there's more contact, one driver will win the race. So this ain't over yet. That one keeps creeping close. They still got 40 laps for something to happen to.
Reminds me of Robbie Gordon at Sonoma, and all I can remember is CW going, Robbie Gordon is worried about a lap car. It just reminds me of that.
There's no other battles on the racetrack that are immediately on fire, so we'll keep our eyes on this one to see how it goes. But closing in on 40 laps remaining, our final third of the race next time by. All right, I think they're distant enough now that I can safely pull away and look elsewhere. We're keeping our eyes on it. Well, yeah, I was going to say.
Don't say that.
Hearn's just saving right front tire. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, okay,
really
Matt
pull
Kenseth.
through the center. No, Kenseth blew a tire.
Okay, sure.
Oh, yeah, he blew a tire. There was no question about that.
He blew a gasket.
I know there were some people that thought that was the most disrespectful thing in racing. I thought that was excellently done.
Dale Jarrett took him seriously, which I think is funny. That's what Kenseth said he blew a tire. Dale Jarrett was like, "No, you didn't," thinking that Kenseth actually.
Look, Penske had it coming in 2015. Penske and 2014 for that matter. They had it coming to him, and Matt Kenseth just did what everyone else was thinking.
Still looking at Travis Beckner's gap. He has fresher tires, but the damage is taking its toll. Last time by is about a 1/10.5 slower than Scioli, and meanwhile, Scioli climbed to the front. He's now within half a second of David Weishart. I wouldn't expect Weishart to really battle him too much, although they are about over 4.5 seconds in front of third place Munsell, so maybe they will fight. We'll have to see here as still looking at Hearn.
I would say Greg Mitchell, he just passed Hearn for the position.
Oh,
now
boy.
they are door to door. No holds barred, anything goes.
Pinch, a little bit of a pinch. It's going to happen. It's going to happen here. But they're just going to get as close to each other as they can without hitting.
At least it's entertaining, guys. We got a battle for the lead going on, but this is the one that might turn sour. Big dive on the one.
Wow. I think Hearn actually saw that dive coming, and he's going to give the bump right back. I think Hearn knew it was coming.
Meanwhile, for the lead.
Woo! New leader.
New leader, and back to this.
This battle's happening. Battle for 8th is happening. Beckner's really pinching Rob Ackley. Beckner's not giving an inch to the 14 as that battle could turn ugly too.
A caution would totally change the flavor of this race, and we are not over yet.
What flavor is this race now?
It's salty right now, I'll tell you that.
Not spicy? Well, spicy is salty.
It'll be spicy.
Same difference.
It'll be spicy.
I don't know what it's going to get spicier for. First place, lead lap versus lap car, or for 8th place, because Beckner is much slower than the 14, but not giving him an inch. As we're closing on about 35 laps to go, as Cameron Hurt's check is disabled. Not surprising.
No.
And they've gotten warnings from race control already. Even Colin Farnborough is pleading with them, please don't wreck him.
Oh,
Cameron.
no. We're going on a blaze of glory.
It's like the Cold War between the two.
It totally is the Cold War. Okay.
Ackley's already cut Beckner a few breaks. I just don't know how many Travis Beckner has left.
Yeah, Travis is just trying to salvage a sinking ship at this stage. But, again, he needs the caution. He's hoping that the 67 does something, or the one, or vice versa. But at this stage of the race, Travis is in trouble. And remember, he lost Tuesday's championship so painfully. And tonight, I don't think he really ever had a true shot at it with the pace that he had in the pit situation, but the damage has just made this go from bad to worse.
Yeah, he was at least gaining on a sort of longer run as the race went, but that pop into the wall really killed it for him. And I personally would have brought it in right after he hit the wall, but he did not do that, as these two keep playing games. It's just not been, I thought he'd see a little bit more from him, but Scioli's just had such good pace, especially short run, and he's been very on par middle long run. It's just almost unstoppable combo when someone's that consistent over a long run.
These two still going at it, closing in on Hearn and Durham. It's Beckner and Ackley going at it for the 8th spot on the track. Not giving up just yet is the 14 of Ackley, closing in right up on the bumper of Beckner going in the corner.
And fair play between these two so far. They haven't really leaned on each other yet.
They have to be respectful to each other before they actually start racing, because they still have to pass Steve Durham and Cameron Hearn.
Oh, a little smoke and debris from the one, I think, scraping the wall.
Someone say debris?
Where's that trigger happy caution button?
Whoa.
Kyle Busch
Big
is
time
going to be
loose.
out by now.
Yes.
They're actually just shoving him into these corners. I'm surprised he's, like I said, I'm surprised he's waiting this long to wait for the move, but I guess also, like I said, they kind of got to get by these two first before they really start battling. They get the Durham first. See if Cameron Hearn backs off the kind
I was going to say, did we finally get some cars between these two guys? Or, there we go. I think we have. Cameron gave up about 3 spots just to stay with the one and play the Kevin Harvick 2011 mind games.
It's not like he even has that much damage. It's really all right rear. I'm pretty sure he could still be in the top 5 if he wanted to be, but
Yes. That was a conscious decision. Out front, 30 laps to go next time by, and James Scioli just continues to run quicker lap times than basically everybody else. Chris Rabel's a hair quicker, but this 7-car Hunter is just in the best spot of anybody.
Definitely is. 2.5 lead to David Weishaupt. And without that,
gosh.
well, more than 5 seconds.
Oh, boy.
Oh. Well, no, that's... Oh. Yeah, I see what you mean now.
30 laps to go, guys. We're getting down to it as the Area Lodgebox Series finale continues. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. And the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series was finalized on Monday. Michael Curhan was the winner of that.
Well, that has been a good run for Chris Rabel. It's a track that you don't really see a lot of movement. He has been the biggest mover by far, up 9 positions, started 15th all the way up to 6th, and knocking on the door of a top 10. He's caught Colin Fambro. He just hasn't been able to make the pass quite yet.
Here comes Ackley on the 27.
Knocking on the door for that spot as well.
And he has
Ackley.
been.
Man, this is a good battle here. And Travis, again, he's just trying to cling on for dear life, hoping that somewhere a yellow flag will get drawn that doesn't involve him and he can get a chance to get 4 fresh tires and go for it on a restart. But I think, Connor, you mentioned that the truck didn't suit Travis's driving style. I don't think this track suits the driving style of Travis Beckner. Single line, you can't be aggressive. It's abrasive. I think he really likes the tracks where you can slide around a lot and pick different lanes. It just isn't friendly to his driving tonight. But Rob Ackley is getting stuck behind this 27, and you can tell his patience is running thin.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. Just a little bit too much of a one-dimensional track tonight for him to really compete, as here comes Ackley finally with a good shot to the inside. Beckner throwing it in there, not giving an inch to Ackley still, but I don't blame you for having that opinion one bit. I think it just has not been his track, and maybe something he'll look at for next season if they come to this track again. Just got to work on holding a line and working on finding a little bit of speed as well.
Speaking of speed, Hearn has gotten the speed back underneath that 67, closed in on these two. Might take a couple spots here.
25 laps to go next time by the stripe, getting down to it. If you got moves to make them now. You're running out of laps.
Really not many battles on track. There's obviously his battle Ackley and Beckner. I guess you can include Cameron Hearn in it now. He decided he wants to race again. Fambro, Rabel. Yeah, I know. Imagine that. Fambro and Rabel right next to each other. Greg Mitchell's a little bit behind Justin Munsell. And Weishaupt and Scioli all on their own. Now separated by 2.5 seconds, as Scioli's still by far the fastest car on the track.
around 25 to go. 2.5 seconds, and growing, separating Skyline and Weishart. Great battles throughout this pack, though. Definitely have had some drama in between for a very surprising race that's gone green flag since the drop of the green flag. Haven't had a yellow in tonight's race yet. And if you heard that, I just knocked on wood, so I hope I didn't jinx anything there. But quick look at the race recap. 4 leaders, 5 lead changes, and less than 25 to go, and still no yellow.
All clean and green since the drop of the green flag. James Scioli has been out front for the vast majority of this race, other than a couple laps during the pit stop sequence. And for the opening lap, he has led every lap since. Led 75 of the 97 that we've completed. Weishart led a couple more because of the pit stop strategy. 18 on his night. Ooh, big slide through turns 3 and 4, but he maintains second and is pretty safely there. Munsell is a hair quicker, but 2.3 back is a lot to make up. And then Greg Mitchell in the number 2 came in after winning at Richmond, sneaking into the playoff 4. Put up a decent fight during that first run, but pit strategy has not been kind to him, and neither has the lack of caution flags. One because of the chaos last week, but without the chaos this week, Connor, he has been just lingering just behind Scioli, Weishart, and Munsell.
Yeah, he didn't get the best qualifying run, and he hasn't been able to really pass many. I think he was only about 5th before the pit stops, and he's kind of stalemated from here. We'll see how much Weishart can drop off. He does have the oldest tires. He got on lap 58, so maybe he can get there with 33, but without something crazy happening, we're closing on 20 to go. Too little too late, but it is a good fight from Greg Mitchell. I personally did not see him going this far, but he's definitely proven me wrong personally, and he's had speed all throughout this playoff run.
Definitely proven a lot of people wrong, and honestly, proved myself wrong. Up until last week, where I kind of manifested that one to happen for him, where the spotlight was on the 2 and he shined in the brightest moment of his area career so far. And here's a little replay at Ed Robertson. 64 might have gotten a little close to the wall here one of these times around the Nashville Super Speedway. Might be here coming out of 4.
I think it was a couple laps prior to this. I wasn't exactly sure where. I was told that he did hit the wall, but we're going to find out where. I think he already has that right front damage. I wasn't sure if that was existing already, but somewhere, somehow, he hit the wall and hard enough to knock the right side in on it. So he maintains 12th, but they have to limp that one home.
Yeah, one of the number of drivers who've hit the wall, not just Travis Beckner. It's been a tough night for a lot of guys. Durham's been in the wall. Michael White, lap 2 for him. Swerve and Irvin. 16, Tom Bourne's kept it clean. He runs 10th for the time being, but a lot of drivers have struggled to keep it off that wall, and specifically that turn 4 wall. I haven't seen anyone hit it at a 2. Turn 4 and that bump. It's definitely been a trouble spot, unsurprisingly.
You know, I was going to say this Monday night, but overall, the last 3 tracks that we've been to, all the banking has been the same in the turns. It's been 14 degrees all the way around. Very interesting.
Wait, is that
racing.
true?
Yeah.
The last 3 tracks have all had the same banking number?
Yeah. Auto Club, Richmond, and Nashville are all at 14.
That is wild. That's got to be a coincidence, right?
Well, maybe, but it's interesting with the same banking at each track, just the different style of racing through the corners. And this track, different racing surface in general, concrete, but just fascinating to know that for the last 3 weekends, the banking's been the same, and the racing style in the turns has been way different in each one.
Sizes of the tracks have also been pretty different. Richmond being the smallest of the 3, Fontana being the largest, and this kind of slotting closer to the small end, but bigger than Richmond.
But not as big as the Super Speedway.
Correct.
No. We can safely say Hearn versus Durham's over. They're multiple seconds separated, and Cameron Hearn told Beckner a few laps ago he's just riding, which he is. He hasn't really made an attempt on Beckner. Rob Ackley's pulled away from both those 2, although he is sliding out of the corners while doing it. So seeing if Weishart gets closed in on by Munsell and Mitchell. A few tenths per lap faster those 2 are than the 33, so that could be a battle to watch by the end.
Coming across the stripe now, 15 laps to go, 14 for Scioli. If he can get to the white, then that'll be it. No yellow can stop it or bring it to overtime. At that point, as soon as they cross the stripe for the white flag, that is it And that's what the 7 is hoping for. Almost a 5-second lead over his owner, David Weishart. Justin Munsell about 7 seconds back. Greg Mitchell is 7 seconds back, the second-place driver in the championship standings as they run.
Been an interesting race so far, but without a whole lot of drama besides the 67-1 having a little bit of a cold war between them. 14 laps remain in this race, and Mitchell trying to run down Munsell, but not quite able to do it. A 10th slower lap by the looks of it. Connor, we're getting down to not only the end of the Area Lodgebox series, but the end of the season across area. This is a big night.
Definitely a big night, and we'll see what Mitchell, kind of intrigued to see if Mitchell can get any of these positions within a few laps. Looking unlikely, but if we get a late yellow for whatever reason, anything's possible. All the track position matters when you're coming in to pit stops, because if we got a late yellow, everyone's getting their fresh set. So it'd be important for him to at least try to get to the 20 at Munsell, but he's been dropping back the past few laps. It looks more likely Fambro would catch him before he catches Munsell.
Oh. Big time loose there. Big time slide for the 67 of Hearn. He's just riding. Closed in on Beckner, but still riding.
James Scioli has so much clear racetrack ahead of him and behind him. And this is something that, as a driver that's looking for a championship, I mean, you can wish for nothing more than to go out there, lead the most laps, have a nice clean pit stop, get back out in front, and then have no interferences and have everyone pretty much spread out, or not spread out but not fighting. This is a dream scenario for Scioli. Just needs to make it 11 more revolutions.
Yeah, it's definitely this has pretty much been the perfect race with the way this is going. Really, he has not had any sort of challenge since he got by David Weishart on lap number 2. Literally the perfect drive. Kind of reminds me Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Xfinity Series, which was then the Busch Series. He had such a smooth run at Homestead when en route to his championship that what didn't even look fair. It looked like he was out for a Sunday drive, and that's what I imagine Scioli's looking like right now. It just looks absolutely perfect, and it looks too easy for him right now. He's almost up to a 6-second lead.
Could be 7 seconds by the time this one's done.
10 laps to go. All that remains here at Nashville for the Area Lodgebox Series. And it is coming down to the end of the season. And again, fans, be sure to check out the Area iRacing.shop website for merchandise to represent your favorite driver from the season. Shop from the selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order. Check out Area iRacing.shop. Pick up some James Scioli merch while you're there. You can get 9 more laps, guys. He will be your champion.
Better get that merch now. It's going to be off the shelves.
Yeah, it's going to be jacking up the price.
Wait, he's dominating. I would say so. Double the price.
$70.
Discount code.
Worth it.
Discount Tuesday for the 2 and 27 merch, though.
Can't forget about that.
That's not a thing, but maybe it will be.
It is now.
Okay.
Sorry,
Area. Cutting into the bottom line.
Blame Kyle. Hashtag it.
Ambrose catching Greg Mitchell here. Could see a pass for 4th.
He's starting to close in as Munsell's kind of driven away. I don't think Munsell's driven away from Mitchell as much as Greg Mitchell, I think, has worn the tires off. And he also has right front damage, which I don't think he had as many laps ago. So probably pushing too hard, and he's losing the handle on the front nose of that Mustang. As Ambrose almost surely going to have a look here in the 3.
Here he is, going to look low on the 2 of Mitchell going into the corner. Mitchell, again, in that 3rd lane. It's essentially a 3rd lane, can fit a car right in between the 2. Maybe not now, definitely not now, but interesting battle for the 4th position as the laps wind down on the season.
Mitchell is not close enough. Not in the position to win a championship. Not even really in position to lose 2nd in the championship. He's just kind of riding this one out. Chris Rabel is going to join the party here. This is now for 5th place. Rabel's going to drop to the inside, and Mitchell is seeing spot slip away, but it almost doesn't matter as the season championship and the next 4 positions are done just on your finishing position in relation to the others in the playoffs. Travis Beckner will finish 3rd on the season if he can get through the next 5 laps because of the absence of John Furness. But James Scioli beating everybody else And he's looking to do the same as the champions Brad Slaughter Jr. did on Tuesday and Jake Nichols on Monday, win the race and the championship with the double whammy here at Nashville.
Like we said a few laps ago, just been too easy, really not even a struggle. I don't know if he's seen a car for the past 20 laps, to be completely honest. It's been so easy. He's now on 5 to go, 4.5 to go. I was looking at Munsell closing in on Weishart. Don't think he'll get there in time. Greg Mitchell has to fend off Chris Rabel for a few more laps. That's going to be tough to do. Rabel to the outside, squeezing his way to the outside. I haven't seen a pass on the outside, I don't think, all race, so Rabel's going to try to do it the hard way.
A little bit of a challenge to get that top 5 for 29 of Rabel, and not going to do it there. Hearn still on the bumper of Beckner, still riding, and Mitchell still fending off Rabel.
Mitchell almost out there for a moment. Colin Fambrough slipping and sliding. The grip level's dropping away, guys, because we're 55, 60 lap old tires at this stage, so you're out of grip, you're out of fuel, you're out of energy, and you're out of time.
Yeah, I think the entire field's out of time. The clock's ticking down, and it's just, there's nothing left. This is everything everyone's got. Final few laps of the season, no reason not to let it just hang all out and give it everything you got at this point in the race. That's what Weishart's been doing. He hit the apron, he's trying to drive so hard away from the 20th Munsell. It was giving it everything everything they got. Side by side for 8th, Beckner and Hearn. Hearn continues to ride up the track he goes.
It looked like Hearn was going to ride it on the outside around the 27th. Not quite done there yet. Dismount not done yet either. Race not yet done. Still got a couple laps remaining for Scioli. As long as he makes it to the white flag, this race will end. But caution cannot bring in overtime. And there's Rabel still trying to get around Mitchell.
Got 3/4 of a mile until he gets back around to that stripe again. Big, good run here for the 29 of Rabel on Mitchell. This will be for 5th.
And while Scioli's so far ahead, he is already coming out of turn 4. He gets to this line, it's pretty much over and official. White flag, final lap of the season.
James Scioli.
Munsell is closing in on Weishart for the second spot. Weishart's actually going to give it up.
Is he out of fuel?
He might be out of fuel.
Slowing on the apron, but James Scioli on the back straightaway has half a mile remaining. This season he has won 6 races, and how fitting. After 17 rounds in the area Lodgebox series, the number in the win column matches the door. 7 wins and a championship. James Scioli wins it all at Nashville.
No one more deserving this season. He put on an absolute clinic. It's going to be Justin Munsell out of nowhere getting 2nd, then Fambrough, Mitchell, Rabel, the top 5, then Ackley 6th, and Beckner and Hearn will come across the line side by side. They'll even trade a door there. Hearn's going to get him just at the last second. As what could have been for Travis Beckner, but still a very great season for him. But what a job by James Scioli. He made it look literally too easy tonight.
Dominant car throughout the season. The 7th win for the 7 car, and like I said, didn't have to win the race to win the championship, but it doubles the sweetness of that victory. And congrats to the 7 Scioli and everyone at David Weishart Racing on a strong effort, not only for the driver's side of things, but the owner's side of things. They also won the owner's championship there. And look at that, 98 of the 120 laps led were from the 7 Scioli.
And no funny business in any of our races. No green-white checkers, no last lap dives to win the championship, no crashes taking out a leader before the line. Just straight-up victories in all 3 races here this week, which is a mark of a great field ending a great season. And James Scioli in the South Beach Heat Rick's Hot Sauce car brings it home and celebrates. And the music in Nashville tonight, 7,000 RPM from under the hood of the 7.
Yeah, don't only buy James Scioli merch, buy the hot sauce too.
RicksHotSauce.com.
Burnouts in the grass, well deserved. Might as well blow that engine up. Don't need it for a little while.
Don't need them at all for next season. Digital engines, great stuff, easy to maintain. James Scioli wins championship and the race. As you mentioned, Connor, didn't have to do it, but he did it. Justin Munsell, 2nd place. Colin Fambrough, 3rd. Mitchell and Rabel, 4th and 5th. Notably, no 33 in the top 10. Connor, that was a disappointing end for him. But the championship 4, the way they will finish, James Scioli wins the championship, Mitchell second, Travis Beckner third, and John Furness fourth.
It is a shame Furness could not make it. I can only assume it would have been a good battle. He was, in my opinion, would have been second to Scioli and would have been his closest competitor. Just wasn't meant to be nice. We get to the final runners. Small field of started with 21, 20 started, 18 finished. Bryce Senesac, Shane Therian, kind of surprised to see him only get to 12th. And Robertson lost that battle to Senesac. And Weishart all the way down in 14th is where he finished. He hit lap 58. It was just a lap and a half too long. Irvin 15th, Durham, Cochran, and Durham maybe the most entertainment tonight from him, and Michael Life 18th.
Greg Mitchell finished in 4th place tonight. Will come home second in the championship. Greg, it wasn't a championship tonight, but got yourself in about as good of a position as you could. Couldn't run down the 7, no cautions to kind of mix things up, but second place after sneaking through with a win at Richmond last week, that's got to be an accomplishment for you and the team.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. Happy to finish second. Obviously, want first place, but James is tough every single week. Really happy that as a team we finished second as Fazekas in points, and then came home second to James tonight. So it was a good season for the most part. I had a rough first half of it, just kind of feeling it out and learning as I go. My first full season with these guys, so it's been educational and I've learned a lot, and hopefully come back better for next season.
Greg Mitchell second in the in the championship in the number 2 car, 4th in the race. Greg, thanks for chatting with us, and good luck to you next season. Enjoy the off season as well.
Thank you guys, and real quick, thank you to the sponsors of the entire season: the NAO, DeLeo Bram, Eat Sleep Race, Mag Air Bank, Fame Construction, and the entire Fazekas team. Thank you to you guys in the booth and all the admins. And yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Greg. P2 in the championship. We'll see you next round.
Thanks, guys.
P3 in the race was Colin Fambro in the number 18. Got there in the late going, but up onto the podium after starting 9th. Colin, nice run forward. No cautions or anything to kind of draw any drama, but just drove straight up from 9th to 3rd and finished there. Take us through your night.
Yeah, it was good. I tried to take care of the tires early in the run, and kind of knew after the first run I had good speed in the long run. So when I came back out, I just tried not to abuse the tires too much, because when you come out and you mix back in with traffic, you're not exactly sure how everybody got on and off pit road. So I just tried to take care of my stuff and then really charge there at the end, and ended up with a good result.
Well, P3, certainly not a bad way to end the season, Colin. Congratulations. Great way to go out, and hopefully we'll see you around next season going for a championship.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Justin Munsell finished second in the race in the number 20 car. Got all the way to second, but needed a caution and some chaos maybe to get a shot at the number 7 to take home the win. But Justin, no championship on the line tonight. It was all for the victory. P2, though, came up 1 spot short. How'd your night go?
Pretty good. I got a little bit of practice before the session today, so I was just trying to get a gauge on how the car was going to be. And Nashville's not typically a great track for me, so I was going to need all the help I can get. It was tough to pass, though. I got stuck kind of in 5th, and as soon as you try to get underneath somebody, if you didn't make that pass, your momentum was killed. So I knew that if I was going to get a good finish, I was going to need to try to undercut some folks. And luckily, I pit a lap before most people and got that little extra track time, and just had to kind of preserve the tires. It was stressful with Greg bearing down on me, and I saw Colin bearing down on him. I was so focused on those guys trying to maintain that gap that I didn't even realize that the 33 was slowing as much as he was, and I was like, well, shoot, I can get a second place here, while I was worried about even getting a top 5. So all in all, great way to end the season. Great last few races to kind of show the speed that I've had all season, but luckily some things have kind of gone my way to actually have the results.
Well, a P2 is a great way to end the season, Justin, so congratulations on that. Hopefully we'll see you back again next season fighting for a championship.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Coming up short again, as he did on Tuesday, this time third in the championship for Travis Beckner in the number 27. Travis just didn't go your way tonight. Needed some cautions to kind of mix some things up and get you back on strategy, but some impacts with the wall on the right side, that kind of slowed you down a little bit as well. So disappointment on Tuesday. I know this is going to sting as well, but P3 in the championship, at least you had the shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we picked such stupid tracks for championship races, but it ain't up to me. So, yeah, setup sucked. Was tight loose out of 4, couldn't do anything. And, yeah, I needed cautions to help me out. And once again, congrats, James. Sucks for John that he had that winter storm coming through up there. And, yeah.
Well, it was just a disappointing night. I know, Travis, for sure. Challenging to pass out there as well, but coming back bigger, faster, and better next season, I'd imagine, and going for another one?
Yep, gonna try my best to. Yeah, just gonna try my best to. Don't really have much to say. So.
All right, Travis Beckner, P3 in the championship. We'll see you next season, Travis.
Yeah, before I go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Color Cutters, Landscaping, Lodgebox, Wax Electric, Rick's Hot Sauce, Palmetto State Army, Coney Setup Shops, and Dawson Miller for making this awesome paint scheme. I was doing a little bit of promoting tonight for my local dirt track that I flag at. We got a huge race this weekend, so if anybody that's watching this stream could tune into Done Right TV this weekend, that would be awesome. We need the support really bad. And yep. And y'all taking the time out today to come do these broadcasts. They're top quality, in my opinion. So
appreciate it, Travis. Happy to be here. Thanks so much for talking, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
The champion, as I mentioned, getting the number of wins in the win column the same as the door. How convenient for James Scioli, championship winner of the 2023 Area Lodgebox Series. James, congratulations on not only winning the race, but finishing out by winning the championship and your 7th win on the season. Has to feel good. Tonight, you absolutely dominated, led 98 of 120 laps. That was a walk-off home run. Take us through it.
Yeah, thank you guys. First off, definitely means a lot. Lodgebox Series champion sounds pretty good. I was bummed to see Furnace couldn't make it. I want to say I hope that he's safe, and everybody that lost power. I know that in that area it's pretty rough right now, so I hope everybody's safe and staying safe over there first off. And I just knew that I wanted to get the lead early. I kind of messed up qualifying. I just didn't want to have any big mistakes and go up the track and lose a bunch of tenths and have to start in the back or anything. So I knew that I just wanted to get the lead early, and kind of drove hard, probably a little too hard doing that. So I was able to, so they kind of stayed with me there that first run, and then just put some tires on, and Travis got the walls, so that definitely helped. They were kind of struggling there at the end of the first run, and just had the pit stop and hoped there were no cautions. Almost had some fireworks in front of me, had some popcorn ready for Hearn and Steve there. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but once we got through that point, I kind of just went into cruise control.
And cruise control you did all the way to victory lane. Celebrating a championship and a win, James. Amazing season. How do you one-up this one next time around, though? Because our next season, when it starts, I'm hoping you'll be in it. Go for maybe for 2 in a row.
Yeah, definitely hoping for 2 in a row. I guess the only way to go is hope for even more than 7 wins. I know that's going to be pretty tough to top, and there's some good competition in this series. I'm sure we'll get some good competition throughout the off season too. I don't know what all the moves are, so definitely going to be a tough season to one up, and obviously first championship. It definitely means a lot. This one's pretty special, so just soak it all in now and enjoy the off season, and hopefully come back better than ever.
James Scioli, your 2023 Area Lodgebox Series champion and winner at Nashville. James, the sweetest music of all. Thanks for chatting with us. Congratulations, and enjoy that offseason.
Thank you. And just before we go, I just want to say a huge thanks to you guys for being with us all season. I know last year you guys were with us for part of the season. You guys killed it, and I mean throughout the season again. Just awesome job on the broadcast, the admin team. thanks to them as well. Thanks to everybody who wasn't in the playoffs who stuck around and still filled these races. And then big thanks to Rick's Hot Sauce. They came on with me in the end of the first season, my first sponsor. So big thanks to them for sticking with me through all this, and happy to finally get them a championship. And then Chris Sports Cards, Butt Kicker, Dandles Candles, Matco Tools for being on all the cars this season. And then lastly, DWR got the team championship, so cool to sweep both of those. And I know Brad got the truck championship, so DWR is looking strong. Better watch out for us next season.
Thanks for the kind words, James, and we'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, that'll wrap up the season. I mean, wow, what a year, what a season. Started it all the way back in the fall of 2022. It is now complete, and we'll take a handful of weeks off before we return. But Hunter, final thoughts here on the 2023 area season as we head into the spring season coming up in a few weeks.
Just a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal way to close out the season. Phenomenal season all the way around for all three area series. I cannot wait till we go back to Daytona, even though it's only a few off weeks in between that. In between now and Daytona, it's still going to seem like an eternity, just like the real NASCAR offseason. Looking forward to be back at Daytona in just a short amount of time.
And Connor, final thoughts on the area series this season. You're here for the Lodgebox series and a couple times for the other ones, but it's been a fun season and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, no doubt. And that 7, at least in the Lodgebox series, is going to have a target on his back. He's got a lot. He's got a really good shot if he wants to run the entire season again. He's got a great shot to go back-to-back because there's not many drivers that can touch him in this series. 7 wins, led about 5/6 of this race alone. It's going to be tough to beat him. Also in the Cup Series, Jake Nichols, his dominance came up with a championship. We'll see if he runs next season. It's going to be another fun one, and I'm excited to see these drivers battle for the championship once more.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Sim TV. We'll see you back here in a little while. A couple of weeks' time we'll be back. But in the meantime, make sure that you tune in to Sim TV. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not. We got more racing up on Sim TV all the way through until the area seasons kick off again. Road racing on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's mostly what we got. No oval racing until then, though. You'll have to wait until Daytona for that. We'll see you again. Thanks so much, Kyle Heyer, alongside Connor Horn and Hunter Sleppy. We'll see you on the other side.